Hey there, folks. It seems President Trump has decided to celebrate this fine spring day by slapping a whole bunch of new tariffs on our global trading partners. That's right, he's gone full tariff happy again, and the world is, shall we say, less than thrilled. These tariffs, which Trump announced with his usual subtlety, red, none, are designed to protect American businesses and workers. Or at least that's what he claims. The problem is, these tariffs are about as popular as a skunk at a picnic. Now, you might be thinking, John, what are tariffs and why should I care? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive headfirst into the wacky world of international trade wars. So what exactly are these tariffs that Trump's so fond of? Put simply, tariffs are taxes on imported goods. Think of them like a cover charge for products crossing our borders. The idea is that by making foreign goods more expensive, American consumers will buy American-made products instead. Trump calls these new tariffs reciprocal, which sounds all fair and balanced, right? Like, you slap a tariff on my cheese, I slap a tariff on your cars, but here's the thing. Trade is a lot more complicated than a schoolyard brawl. These tariffs aren't just about leveling the playing field, they're about upending it entirely. And as we'll see, the consequences could be far-reaching and downright messy. Predictably, the international community wasn't exactly doing the wave when Trump announced his tariff palooza. The European Union, Canada, Mexico, even our Aussie mates down under, they've all cried foul and threatened retaliation. Financial markets threw a tantrum, with stock prices taking a nosedive and gold, that safe haven for the jittery investor, nearing record highs. See, uncertainty is like kryptonite to the markets, and Trump's surprise tariff attack injected a whole heap of uncertainty into the global economy. The message from the rest of the world is clear. Nobody wins in a trade war. But try telling that to the guy with his finger hovering over the tariff button. Now, Trump might claim these tariffs are all about protecting American jobs and businesses, but who ends up paying the price for this so-called protectionism? You guessed it, ordinary Americans. Those shiny new tariffs get passed down the line like an unwanted fruitcake at Christmas until they land squarely in the laps of consumers. That means higher prices on everything from cars and washing machines to clothes and groceries. So while the wealthy might not bat an eyelid at a few extra bucks tacked onto their luxury purchases, for working families, these tariffs can mean the difference between putting food on the table and going hungry. Section 5. From cars to clothes industries caught in the crossfire. The impact of tariffs is far-reaching and multifaceted, affecting not just the end consumers, but also the very backbone of various industries. The tariffs aren't just hitting consumers in the wallet, they're also wreaking havoc on businesses across a wide range of industries. From manufacturing to agriculture, the ripple effects are being felt far and wide. Business owners are grappling with increased costs and disrupted supply chains, making it difficult to maintain operations and profitability. Take the auto industry, for example. This sector is heavily reliant on imported materials, and the new tariffs have thrown a wrench into the works. Those shiny new tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, they have significantly increased the cost of raw materials. They've made it more expensive for American car manufacturers to produce vehicles. This in turn has led to higher prices for consumers and reduced competitiveness in the global market. Then there's the agriculture industry, which has been hit particularly hard by retaliatory tariffs from China and other countries. Farmers are finding it increasingly difficult to sell their produce overseas. American farmers, already struggling with low commodity prices and extreme weather, are now facing the prospect of losing their livelihoods. The tariffs have exacerbated an already precarious situation, pushing many to the brink of bankruptcy. The tariffs have created a ripple effect throughout the global economy, disrupting supply chains, raising costs, and creating uncertainty for businesses large and small. The long-term consequences are still unfolding, but one thing is clear. Industries caught in the crossfire are struggling to navigate this new economic landscape. Section 6. America First. But at what cost? The economic fallout of the America First policy is becoming increasingly evident. Trump's trade war, initially aimed at protecting American jobs and industries, has consequences that extend far beyond higher prices and economic uncertainty. Small businesses are struggling to stay afloat, and consumers are feeling the pinch as the cost of everyday goods continues to rise. The ripple effects are being felt across the nation, from the heartland to the coasts. It's not just the domestic economy that's suffering. On the international stage, America's standing is eroding. Longtime allies are questioning their relationships with the US, and adversaries are seizing the opportunity to expand their influence. The trade war is undermining the very institutions that have underpinned global trade for decades, creating a sense of instability and unpredictability in international markets. The World Trade Organization, already on shaky ground, is facing an existential crisis as Trump threatens to pull the US out altogether. This move could dismantle the framework that has facilitated international trade and cooperation for years, leading to a more fragmented and contentious global trade environment. This organization, designed to promote free trade and resolve trade disputes, is being sidelined by Trump's go-it-alone approach. The potential withdrawal of the US from the WTO could have far-reaching implications, not just for America, but for the entire world. Trade agreements that took years to negotiate are now at risk, and the stability of global markets hangs in the balance. By abandoning the rules-based international order, Trump is creating a vacuum that's being filled by countries like China, which are all too happy to step in and rewrite the rules of global trade in their favor. As the US retreats from its leadership role, China is positioning itself as the new champion of globalization, reshaping the economic landscape to suit its own interests. The long-term consequences of this shift could redefine the balance of power in the global economy for generations to come. Section 7. A house divided, political battle lines drawn over tariffs. Back home, Trump's tariffs have become a political football, with Republicans and Democrats squaring off over the wisdom of his trade policies. While some Republicans have cheered on Trump's tough talk on trade, others have expressed concern about the impact of tariffs on their constituents. Democrats, meanwhile, have been largely united in their opposition to Trump's tariffs, arguing that they're hurting American workers and businesses. They've accused Trump of starting a needless trade war that's damaging the US economy. The debate over tariffs has become a microcosm of the larger political divide in America, highlighting the deep polarization that exists on issues ranging from trade to immigration to climate change. Section 8. Trading insults, not goods. The future of global commerce. So what's the endgame here? Where does Trump's trade war lead? That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately there are no easy answers. One thing's for sure, the longer this trade war drags on, the more damage it will inflict on the global economy. We're already seeing a slowdown in global trade as businesses become more risk-averse and consumers tighten their belts. If Trump continues to escalate his trade war, we could be headed for a full-blown recession. The irony is that Trump's protectionist policies are likely to have the opposite effect of what he intends. By raising costs and creating uncertainty, he's making American businesses less competitive, not more. Section 9. Beyond the bottom line, the human cost of a trade war. While economists and policymakers debate the macroeconomic impacts of Trump's trade war, it's important to remember the human cost of these policies. These discussions often revolve around numbers, percentages, and economic theories, but behind every statistic is a human story. The debates in conference rooms and legislative halls can sometimes feel detached from the everyday struggles of ordinary people. Behind the statistics and economic indicators are real people whose lives are being upended by this trade war. Families are finding it harder to make ends meet, and the stress of financial uncertainty is taking a toll on their mental and emotional well-being. The ripple effects of these policies extend far beyond the balance sheets and GDP reports. There's the American farmer who's forced to sell off his land after decades of hard work. These farmers have invested not just money, but their hearts and souls into their land. The emotional and financial strain of losing their livelihood is immeasurable. The land that has been in their families for generations is now slipping away, and with it, a piece of their heritage. There's the single mother who's struggling to put food on the table because of rising grocery prices. Every trip to the grocery store becomes a painful exercise in budgeting as she tries to stretch every dollar to feed her children. The anxiety of not knowing if she can provide the next meal is a constant burden, affecting her ability to focus on work and care for her family. There's the factory worker who's laid off because his company can no longer afford to do business in the face of Trump's tariffs. These workers are not just losing their jobs, they are losing their sense of purpose and stability. The factories that once buzzed with activity are now silent, and the communities built around them are facing economic decline. Trump's trade war is a cautionary tale about the unintended consequences of protectionism. While the intention might be to protect domestic industries, the reality is often far more complex. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that protective measures can lead to retaliatory actions, creating a cycle of economic harm that affects everyone. It's a reminder that in a globalized world, we're all interconnected, and that actions taken in one part of the world can have ripple effects that are felt far and wide. The decisions made by policymakers in one country can lead to job losses, higher prices, and economic instability in another. Understanding the human cost of these policies is crucial for creating a more compassionate and equitable global economy. If you value this content, subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, and watch our other dispatches.